one of the songs I really want to talk about, that's one of my favorite songs of yours of all time. Like I remember my sister playing it on the aux cord a couple years ago while we were driving to, I don't know, Waikoloa or something. And it was Na Vaqueros.
No.
And it's such a beautiful song. But I was interested in it because I love listening to Hawaiian music. It's a great way when you're learning language or trying to maintain language to, continue just by listening to people sing. It's not as boring as just like watching something. Um, so they played it, and then you're singing in Hawaiian, and then you start singing in Spanish. I'm like, what? What is going on? I've never heard that in my life. I've never heard a mixture of Hawaiian and Spanish before. And I studied Spanish in college, and I lived in Spain and Argentina. So I was really into Spanish. So that's why it had like the Hawaiian language and Spanish language. So it was just the perfect song that spoke to me. And then the mo'olelo, the story you told throughout that song, it was so beautiful.
Well, I want to say first, I don't speak Spanish.
Well, you
Uh,
spoke it well, you sang it
Thank
well.
you, thank you. You know, how I got the Spanish was, one of my cousins at the time, she was dating one Spanish boy, like, from the motherland,
Mhm.
and I remember meeting him at a family gathering, and when I had the idea for the Vaqueros, uh, he was the first person that popped in my mind, and so I went to him, and he was the one who helped me with Spanish. And then I had to sit down with him so he could help me with the kani and how to make the tongue and the
Mhm.
mouth and all that kind of
How
stuff.
to roll your R's.
Yeah. And once I finished Navaqueros, believe it or not, I sat on it for like 8 or 9 years. I
Mm.
wrote it and I just put it away. And one of my good friends who comes from another group, he lives in Kauai now, Kupawa.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, I've heard
His
of them.
his name is Kellen Pike. He came over my house one day and he sees my songbook, and so he just kind of just looking through the pages, and he sees this song Navaqueros that's half Hawaiian, half Spanish. He's like, so he tells me, "Hey, what is this song?" I go, "Oh, I wrote that." Blah 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 blah. He's like, "Just sing it for me." And so I started to play it for him, and he said, "You gotta record this song." I go, "You think?" It took some convincing because I was real hesitant to record Navaqueros because of what it was.
Mhm.
There was no other song that was hapa in the sense of, besides hapa haole music,
Mhm.
but hapa Spanish music, we
Yeah.
know more. And, Hawaiian people, as much aloha as we have, we're the first ones on the front to point finger the moment you do something different
Yes.
or wrong. And so I was afraid in that sense for that song. And so that's why I sat on it for a while. But he convinced me eventually, and it ended up on my album. And lo and behold, I was surprised. I was surprised how much people liked the song. And the mo'olelo, why I wrote about the Vaqueros. Actually, the inspiration to Navaqueros is my dad. So my dad comes from a long line of Paniolo. We don't descend from the Vaqueros, but we do. Our Paniolo heritage in Kauai goes all the way back to the conception of Paniolo on Hawaii Island.
Mhm.
And so when the Vaqueros first came to Hawaii Island, one of the um, Kanaka that was there that had learned directly from the Vaqueros, one of them is my great 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 grandfather.
Wow.
And so since that time all the way till today, all of our ohana, we come from the very conception of Paniolo on the island of Hawaii. And so I wanted to write a mele for my dad, but like so much other dads, my dad's this tough guy, macho, 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 never really says I love you, kind, but he loves you. Um, but so when I tried to write, Hawaiian poetry is so the opposite of that. And so when I tried to write stuff for my dad, I always hit the wall trying to write something poetically nice for him because I cannot come up with anything
Mhm.
poetically nice for him. And so finally I came up with this idea, oh, you know what? I'm going to write one song about his Paniolo heritage. And that's where the idea of Vaqueros came up, the conception of Paniolo, why it happened, where they came from, yada, yada, yada. And so that's how Navaqueros came to be.